you can't like talk about it. You have to be about it, right? So you have to build the shit.
Be about it.
And so what's really amazing right now, I don't want to take all the time, but Satoshi is building out there right now.
Yeah, what's he
And
doing?
so
What's
that's,
he doing? Like it's confused the
oh
hell out of me.
wow. Okay, so he's even building like the shit we're building similar to. So he knows exactly where the pulse is on Bitcoin, like with the agentic side of it all. And he knows about LLMs. He knows everything about everything. And so what's cool is he
Interesting,
started out with a
interesting.
poker game and Monopoly. And so what he's doing is he's like remember Obi-Wan Kenobi? He's like coming out, you know what I mean? And starting to build again. And so what that means is he's realized that everyone is stalled out, I feel. And so this is his nudge to society to help them see like this is where it goes. Like this is the way. And everything I read from him and see, it helped me along the way. He made a comment about something mesh back there, and that's how it gave me the idea of meshing all these SPV nodes so they're connected. But how I built all of this is from his white paper, the SPV section 8, and so that is live right now. And so what's hard for everyone right now is they think about like, how do I do that? And it's because they don't know they have the option to build something that easy. I get it. It's easier said than done. So it just takes the initiative and maybe the drive and motivation and that spark to do something about it. And like spaces like this help that. And we have Twitter to help with that. We have Tree Chat and all other kinds of channels. But we're just so fragmented as a community. That BSV Radar app is clutch because it helps see us all in one spot. You know what I mean? Remember that app
How
that
does it
came
see
out?
you? How does it work, the BSV radar app?
Like a Rolodex for apps on Bitcoin
Okay.
with a good UI. And so that helps with the fragmentation of everything because everything's everywhere. But that's the whole plan, is to distract and divide, right? So when that happens, nothing happens. And that's kind of the era we're in. So it's kind of like everyone's sleeping. I don't know how, what you think about how to wake them up besides everything we all do. And it's just a timing thing.
Well,
And I don't think there's,
I think my role personally is like community. I can help with things like this and building,
yeah,
events and like this London event, other things, and bring people together to have like a
yeah,
place to talk that are, you know,
yes. And just
like-minded people.
yeah, just to use it more and to get into it and to still stay grounded in your own life is important. Yeah, well, I remember, man, it's hard for me to gain weight, you know what I mean, like muscle and stuff. But if I keep at it, it works, right? It's
Hmm.
progressive overload, yeah. But I remember, like when I first got into coding, I didn't know it was dangerous to my health. Like for example, I would be in flow state for 20 hours a day on my computer and not eating enough, right? And just lose all my gains. But the cool part is your body can turn it back on. It's, the stitches don't go away in the muscles. You just got to put it all back in there, but that sucks to lose it all. So I don't know. I think that ergonomics should be covered later on when everyone in BSB starts programming because it's important to like pay attention to your own life. And I don't really have any distractions, so I kind of feel like the path was carved out for me in a way that like helps me. But distractions such as like kids and a family, and I just run a pool company and I have cats and I have the perfect like environment to build this, right? And that doesn't exist everywhere. Like it's hard to focus in like this if you have like a whole bunch going on, right? Especially being an employee, 80 hours every work week or whatever, to every 2 weeks. So that's kind of what's against us. There's not a lot. I mean, you would have to have the perfect environment and setup, and even if you did have that, you would have to have the nudge to even think of that. So I would have never known about Bitcoin SV if someone didn't give me a half a Bitcoin. So what I feel is sticky and contagious as far as like making this thing take off is like giving the stuff away. Like Satoshi talks about, he's going to create the code and give it away. And that's what he did, even with Bitcoin. He created the white paper, the code, and the live working version, and he gave it away.
All right.
And so that's really the best way to do it. Something I noticed along the way that I became aware of, I was naive, but I would just like MIT everything as far as the licensing goes on the code that's open sourced. And I didn't know about like individuals out there who have AIs trained to like clone and scrape it and rebrand it. See what I mean? And so what's fortunate is there's a type of license you're able to use to still preserve the open source nature of it without like diminishing like growth on it. But it has teeth on it when it comes to like people cloning it and then saying, I made this without any kind of backstory on where it came from. You know what I mean? So that's something that's not really talked about out there. But I think it should be talked about, and looked into. I know that BSVA Association has a licensing of their own. I'm not familiar with it off the top of my head, but it's out there. I could learn more about it. Y'all could too. But just knowing, like, what's out there before you build is important, because it would suck to have your shit stolen and someone like makes something else on top of it and says, "This is mine." That sucks. So that could put someone down if they weren't strong enough to recover from it. But like in the beginning, it's early. Like you don't have really too much to worry about. But if you do start building something that turns into something, then it's important to like know how to like handle that baby of yours, because it kind of is a baby made out of your mind, a code baby, right?
Yeah.
But it can be, yeah, it's kind of like a gift for the world. So no matter what, even if they do clone your shit, it's kind of like picking an avocado off the tree, and it was not even ripe enough, and it's not going to grow to be ripe, and it's deformed and it's small, and it stays that way for them. You know what I mean? And so like the tree itself, it has the normal process. I know it sounds all like kind of deep and shit. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying,
It,
like, just to be
yeah.
cognitive of that, because there are individuals out there who aren't able to create that because God did not give them that vision of code, and so they try to like exploit it. And that's all. I'm not going to really harp on that any much more, because
Good
it's not
deal.
really the main subject, but
Let me
it's just something
Let me invite
as far
this.
as the
Let
picture.
me invite this attorney up here as well. I want to chat with him
Yep, yep,
about this case as well. Where
yeah,
if he comes up and see if we can talk a little bit about that, because it's all going to kind of fit together. If he comes up, great. If not, no problem. But yeah, you're up. You're welcome to come up, my man. We were meaning to talk as well about the what was happening with all this stuff on this case, and because it's really important. I think with what's going on. We have the Kleiman case, and then we have the Copa case, and now we've got this freaking lost coins case. It's not lost coins. It's like some sort of an adverse possession, quiet title slash case, and they want to claim all the Satoshi coins, 3 million coins at once. And it's going forward, it's happening. And I started off, and I may have been I wasn't on mute, I don't think, at the beginning. I was talking about making a joke and saying maybe I would just intervene into the case and then call that guy forward and then do a cross complaint so we can't dismiss. So I thought that would be kind of funny, to find out maybe if it's Greg behind that person, or who's back there, who's doing all that. Why would some guy do all that, and who is he? And I thought it would funny. So if he wants to come up, we'll talk a little bit of law stuff. Um, but we don't, yeah. If you're up, my man, I would love to hear from you. So if not, no problem. We'll do it some other time. Oh wait, requested. I think you guys can just come up, but hold on. Oh, Patrick, did he come up? Patrick, is that?
No, I'm a different Patrick.
Oh,
I just
okay.
want to tell you,
What's up?
Gavin, you need to turn your mic gain down because you're totally distorting and
Who
it
is
sounds terrible.
me?
Yeah, you.
Oh, my mic is screwed up.
Your gain is just too high. You're totally
No, your
Oh,
clipping
mic
and
sounds
distorting.
good. It just sounds like you're holding it a little close
let me see if I
sometimes
can
when you
fix
were
it.
talking. So I didn't know. I just wanted to give you a heads up on that. But I have a question for Indelible real quick while Patrick is connecting, if that's okay.
yo, what's up? Sure. How you doing?
I'm good. It's great to finally connect with you.
Yeah,
I've been watching you and I love watching you. You're fucking on fire. So um
thanks, dude.
yeah, I just wanted to say, you said people really need to be like fed up to want this, but what in your mind is that moment that, Google deleted my account or I got censored on Facebook? So the average person, that moment that really makes them think, Indelible is the obvious choice moving forward. Like,
Well, I feel that it's not indelible. That's the choice or the gate to get there. It is knowing what Bitcoin is and being able to use tools, which there are many so far, to do all of that. And so as far as like someone getting into something like that, I don't think it's really like being fed up and forced into it. It was I got called into it, and while I was trying to do it, I kind of got annoyed by the restrictions with what we have to work with when it comes to Claude, and built something to work around that so I can continue building what I was going to build all along, which I didn't know from the very beginning. I didn't know that I was going to be here, and going wherever. I don't really like cap it on where it's going to end up, right? And so I just think that if others had that experience on, say, VS and Claude Code, and you don't need Claude, I mean, Indelible to do that, but it will. I think eventually you'll find a need for it, and by then we hope to make it like as cheap as possible and free nearly. Um, but it's just I don't know how to describe it, but I think that people have to be like awakened by themselves to get there. And it's not up to us or anyone to motivate them to do that. But that us and our teachings are out there, but it's up to the person to be drawn towards it. And I think that the reason why there's not a lot of people is because people don't even understand computers. And if we're trying to get people who are just like investing and trading and flipping coins to understand what that is, it's two different worlds.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
what I was saying. Like, what does this solve for the person that's never going to run a node or write a line of code? So, um,
Right. You know, what's it going to solve for people? So that's the beauty of this. So this isn't just for programmers, it's for every kind of profession. And it's just that people rely on Google and like web browser tabs for their intelligence and their source of information. But what I found out over here is that Visual Studio and Claude Code living inside of there while wrapped up in indelible is actually the environment. So it's kind of like that takes like an adjustment, and where it's kind of far away. Like Google is now like obsoleting, and now they're like trailing onto AI, hoping it will keep it alive. But no one wants to KYC themselves with Google anymore, and that's what Google does because it's set up to share you. So the cool thing is we can build towards something where it's set up to store you and you own you. And if you want to do apps, that's one thing. And so just having a collective of that is, what's going to be the substrate I keep saying. But I don't know if I answered your question like directly, but I think I
How I'm seeing it
please.
is, we're also worried about our jobs being taken by AI and things like this. But of course, there are jobs which will be. But we shouldn't be worried about the jobs being taken. It's about who owns the AI. So it's all this knowledge is being
Yeah,
centralized. And that's what's crucial. We don't want it centralized. That's what
right.
fiat system has
well,
been all
and if
about.
OpenAI deleted my account tomorrow, how do I take my memories, my files, my entire
But
second brain somewhere
but
else
that's
and
where the
continue where I
example
left
when
off? That's what this is, right?
yeah,
You
exactly. So
could, if you turn it back on, maybe. Or they deleted it?
Like, if they deleted my account tomorrow, how could I take
Oh,
all of that and just continue where I left off somewhere else?
easy, easy. So you would go through each little tab and copy and paste it to an MD file, have all those files with all your stuff, and then take it over to VS and plug it in with Claude and save it there to your like vanilla version, like to your hard drive, or put it on the blockchain. But what's cool is what I learned is you don't want Claude by himself. You want Claude being interrogated by OpenAI, so you can have them both over there. So you don't have to be like on one platform and everything's over there and you depend. You can. So the cool thing with VS is you can put all of these LLMs all together and make them work towards you. And then we were talking about the agents more. Mr. Ben, I just recently found out that he's building something similar with what I'm building, and it makes sense, So so Mr. Ben is like a mushroom, and so am I, and we're grown from the ground from mycelium, right? So that these mushrooms can talk to each other, and in a way that it's kind of unexplainable, Mr. Ben. You know what I mean? But I can't believe that. Like I don't like I thought I was just alone out here, man. I didn't know if anyone else is doing that. And I don't like what we built over there the other day. Just what came out today. That's
yeah,
really fucking cool shit, dude.
I know it's bonkers.
Uh,
But I mean, and just so everybody knows, I'm no coder. All I had
same
was an
here.
idea. I just had
Yes.
an idea, and so I don't know if anybody's look back. I built a little. How it started for me was that how I get forth, how to use forth, because Bitcoin's written in a form of forth.
See. Oh wow, I
So
didn't know that.
yeah, so for me, it's all coming around to going back to the code of Bitcoin, what it's written in, and Satoshi said that at some point everybody would be using forth again, and I was like, when I first heard, I was like, what's forth? Never heard of it. Then I started looking into like this programming software language, sorry, forth, and I was like, oh my god, it's kind of like one of these again suppressed knowledge where this language which is incredibly powerful, but it's so simple, and it's based on word, just so you have a word, and that word behind that word has a stack, and it basically can be it's a program. So for me, that made total sense for AI and how to incorporate both. So that's where I came from it. So I wanted to try, first of all, I built a little robotic car. It's nothing crazy, it's just a few little 6-volt motor, 3-volt motors and stuff. But I put a Raspberry Pi on the back of it, and it was listening to the blockchain, and I was trying to send a transaction through an opcode with the message turn right. So when the message hit the blockchain, when I sent the transaction, the car would read it and turn right, which it did, and it did. It took forever because it was waiting for the confirmation. But anyway, but what I realized at the same time, I was like, well, could you write an AI in Forth? But no. But AI can be the brain behind, or it can send these messages out in Forth to other AI, and that really simple language can be used by other AIs, so they're all using this one sort of dictionary. So it doesn't matter what AI you're using, it will come out with the same results. But what it can do is it basically allows the individual to own their own knowledge, so as I say, going back to the argument, we shouldn't be worried about, is AI, we're going to be replaced by AI. It's like we should be starting worrying at who owns the knowledge that we put into the AIs that we then have to rent back to get that knowledge out. That's bollocks. We want to be able to have our own knowledge, which we can rent or sell or give or do whatever to anybody.
Yeah.
So in my last,
Mr. Ben,
this is what.
is this a good explanation of what
Well, and
Forth
how do
is?
we verify that it's retrieving
Because it's on the
memories
blockchain.
from
Because it's basically
Bitcoin versus how do we